Let's say you have a teacher at your school who is really interested in getting more involved with your PTO, and they even want to take on like a leadership position. But you're thinking like, is this a problem? Are there inherent conflicts of interest that would make it impossible for the teacher to be involved kind of like on a fair basis? Like, what is the deal? Can teachers actually serve on PTO executive boards, like in with as an officer or a committee chair? Like, what is the deal? So that's a really common question I hear, and there's a kind of a larger than expected debate about this issue because I think it's rather cut and dry. Back when my kids were in lower elementary school, there was a parent who wanted to get involved in the PTO, and she happened to be a teacher, but not at the same school that we were talking about. She was a teacher at the upper elementary school, and her child was enrolled at the lower elementary school. The issue of there being a conflict of interest really didn't come up from the parents, and it was more so raised by the teacher herself, who she and I were friends. She happened to be a neighbor. She lived right around the corner. And so we had struck up a friendship. And so she kind of said something to me privately at the time when she was thinking about coming on board. And I think it was during nominations season. So that would be February through early April. If you're wondering, that's usually when PTOs are recruiting officers for the next, like the upcoming school year. So anyway, this teacher had said that she really wanted to get involved in a leadership position. And she said kind of privately that the only position that she really did not want to take on would be the treasurer position because that could raise some issues for her. And she wasn't very specific about it. I didn't get into it with her. I can kind of see where something may have come up if there were irregularities that she just wouldn't want the trouble. But I still don't think that there's a problem with her being treasurer because there are you have separate roles in life. You have distinct roles in life. And I think that as long as you're good at communicating what role you happen to be in at the moment and that you're good at distinguishing that, then it's not too big of a problem. So I personally do not understand the whole teachers can't serve on the PTO board because there's a conflict of interest, because I kind of think that we all have a conflict of interest. Like, yes, the teacher is going to want to maybe fund one program over another. And as far as everyone having a conflict of interest, it's just natural. If you have a set amount of money and you can only choose a program that will benefit the kindergarten class or the third grade class or the ninth grade class or the 12th grade class, and you happen to have third graders and 12th graders, you're probably going to vote for those programs. So does that mean that you can't be involved? No, that's silly, because no one person has the only voice in a PTO. Like, the entire purpose of PTOs and PTAs, and you know that I use that term interchangeably because they're kind of both the same thing on a big kind of global scale, and that they're all parent groups trying to improve their school community and do more for the students and make everything better for actually everybody, right? No one person has the ultimate say. Like, that's just not how groups work. And so having a teacher who has an opinion is no different than a parent who has an opinion. We all have opinions about what we want to spend money on, what fundraisers we choose to do or not do, what events we want to put on. Like, those are all decisions we make. And so we all kind of have that conflict of interest. So I really think that that's kind of silly. So I think that there are ways to minimize potential issues for the teachers. For example, if you have a grant committee or a mini grant committee for your PTO that gives money directly back to teachers and classes, perhaps the teacher doesn't serve on that committee. Like she neither chairs it nor serves as a committee member. Like there are plenty of other things for the teacher to do, him or her. I shouldn't keep saying her. But do you understand what I'm saying with this? Like there's so many other ways for the teacher to get involved and give back, that it doesn't have to be something that is a direct correlation, where you could say that there is favoritism because maybe the teacher wants to fund her French project over a coworker that she doesn't have that same relationship with. So there are ways to minimize any conflict that could potentially exist, but I kind of think the entire issue is a non-issue because we all have opinions and we are all working in concert together, and no one person gets the final say. Like the teacher that is on the board is just one of many votes. Like hopefully it is not just two people running your PTO. Hopefully it is a larger swath of parents and teachers who are involved to make those decisions. So it really shouldn't be an issue in the end. So I'm curious to hear how often this issue has come up for you. Like, do you have teachers who are serving on your PTO executive boards? What capacities do they serve in? Like, have you found this to be an issue, or have you heard objections about teachers getting involved or not? Totally curious to hear your experience with this, so let me know down in the comments. Overall, I have to say, you couldn't have PTOs without the Ts, right? Because that is the teacher that makes up the Ts. So I think it's a little short-sighted to be limiting teachers' roles to only the teacher liaison position. I think if you have a teacher who really wants to go above and beyond, in my opinion, to kind of help the PTO out and serve and give of their time in that way, it should be welcomed, and artificial roadblocks really shouldn't be thrown up, because that is not to the benefit of anyone. So I hope that you have really enjoyed this video and helped explain the issue a little bit more, and that I see you in the next one. Want even more guidance on how to be a stronger leader so you can run a better PTO or PTA? All these resources and more are waiting for you at ptoanswers.com.